Hi, my name is Sam Dhanashekharan and welcome to this video. In the last video, we saw the overview of the structure of a table, and in this video, we will look into more details of the structure of the table. Actually, this was the last video where we saw, Mr. McDonald creating like two pieces of paper with the name animals and plants and listing out what he has. And now we go to this slide where he had listed out more details. And right now we will just take the table animals into our consideration and look into the various elements that are part of the structure of the table. Like we discussed, we have columns, right? Name is a column, type is a column, birth underscore date is a column, consumption is a column, average amount of milk per day, that's a column, and then we have rows. Since we are going to carefully examine all the aspects of a table, what I've done is I've listed out the names of the animals that was given to me by Mr. McDonald's, and the type of the animal, and then their birth date, and then how many calories they need every day, and the amount of milk in gallons or liter they produce per day. Honestly, I've never ran a farm, so I don't know what is the average amount of milk a cow produces in a day. We are gonna talk about the various aspects of the table. Okay, so we know about columns and then we know about rows. Okay, but then there are more elements that are part of the structure of the table. For example, the type of data that can be written in a column. So for example, this column name we can specify of type text. I'm just using the generic word text. So meaning that it allows texts to be part of this column. The popular type for these type of values is varchar. I'll talk about those things later. Okay, just remember text, and there is actually, when I say text, take it in the general meaning. This is a text, and then the data type for this column type, again we can make it as text, so that we are just gonna insert only text characters. And then this one, it's birth date. There is a special type called date, right, in most of the databases, and we can configure this as date. What that will do is, if someone mistakenly enters, instead of this, if someone mistakenly enters the value, like now let's say Sam here, the database would not just allow it. It says this doesn't look like a date. So when you create the table, you specify what type of data that each column can hold, which acts as a protective measure so that you do not load wrong values or wrong type of values into that. Like when you read data from this column, all we need to expect is some kind of date value, something that fits into the date value, not like the birth rate for Mia is Sam. No, it doesn't make sense. So each and every column has the type of data that it can hold assigned to it. And let's take this consumption. All we could expect here is just some numbers. So this could be of a number type. When I say number, just take the generic meaning of number, because there are lots and lots of types which can hold a number. For example, integer is there. So everything is general. And then here, the amount of milk per day, again, this could be a number. We basically define the type of the columns. Here, if you notice, there are no values here. In the database world, these are called as null values. That means the value is not defined. This is not equal to this. A value doesn't exist is not equal to, another value which doesn't exist. They are just called null. That's it. And null is not equal to another null. Okay, I'll explain why that is in the subsequent videos, but just remember that it's null here, the value here is null, the values here is null. Okay, so meaning that when you configure this column, you can also configure that this column can accept null values, which means that it can accept rows of data where there are no values. This column, you don't want to have a null value here, because the way it looks, this column is very important. So this column can be configured as not null, meaning that you have to have some value here. Like, if someone comes and inserts a data, right, dog, and then some birth date, some calories, and null, and then null here, it doesn't make sense, because the way Mr. McDonald organizes his animals, he seems to give some name to the animals, so there should be some name here. So whenever you insert any row, this has to have some value into it. So these are the additional attributes that form the structure of table. Okay, so in the last video we saw that a table will have columns and rows. Now we are also going a little bit deeper into that, and we are exploring that each and every column has some attributes or some characteristics attached to the one. Would be the type of the column, like whether it can hold text or number or anything else. There are some other type called binary. I'll talk about those later. And then date column, and then the numbers, everything is there. These type would ensure that incorrect values are not stored into a table. So these are the additional details of the structure of the table. Thank you for watching this.